She is standing at the stove. You need to see this clearly because she has been trying to show you for weeks and you keep looking past her, the way you look past everything that does not fit neatly into your schedule, your logic, your carefully constructed fortress of reasons why you cannot afford to stop moving. She is standing at the stove in the kitchen you remember from childhood, or maybe from a photograph you only think you remember, wearing the apron with the faded flowers, the one that smelled of flour and something sharper, something like worry worn down into patience over decades. Her back is to you, her shoulders are shaking, not from age, not from cold, from crying. From the kind of crying that comes when a grandmother watches a grandchild she loves more than her own breath walking directly toward a cliff while insisting the view from the edge is perfectly safe. She turns around. Her face is wet. Her eyes, those eyes that saw your father born, that saw the war or the migration or the hunger or the silence that defined your family's masculine line, those eyes are fixed on you with an urgency that bypasses every defense you have built since she left the physical world. She is holding a wooden spoon like she might strike you with it, like she did when you were small and reached for something hot. But the gesture is not anger, it is desperation. She is begging you. With tears streaming down the map of wrinkles she earned loving men who did not know how to be loved, she is begging you to listen. Not to the world, not to your boss, not to the voice in your head that sounds like a drill sergeant and never, ever sleeps. She is begging you to listen to her, to the wisdom she carried in her bones, to the warning she could not deliver while her heart was still beating inside a body that your father's family treated as both foundation and furniture. You are Virgo. You do not believe in ghosts. Or at least you say you do not. You say you believe in what can be measured, documented, filed alphabetically, and cross-referenced. But here is what your spreadsheet soul refuses to catalog. The moment last Tuesday when you smelled her perfume in a room where no one had sprayed it. The moment 3 nights ago when you woke at 3:07 a.m. with the distinct sensation of a hand smoothing your hair, the way she did when you were feverish, and your eyes were wet before you even understood why. The moment yesterday when a bird landed on your windowsill and looked at you with such specific, familiar recognition that your chest tightened and you told yourself it was allergies. You have been receiving her transmissions for months. You have been treating them as static, as grief, as the random misfirings of a nervous system that you have always managed with the same ruthless efficiency you apply to everything else. But she is not static. She is screaming across the veil, and the message is not gentle. It is not wrapped in the soft language of angels and rainbows. It is raw. It is maternal in the oldest, most ferocious sense of the word. And it is about your life, right now. The one you are slowly dismantling while calling it responsibility. She wants you to sit down. She does not care that you have 17 unread emails. She does not care that your kitchen is not clean enough for company, or that you plan to reorganize your closet by color and season this weekend. She is pointing at the chair. The one by the window, the one where she used to peel apples and tell you stories you thought were just old women's rambling, but were actually survival manuals written in the code of metaphor. Sit down. Listen. She has been waiting for you to be still long enough to hear her, and her patience, which was infinite in life, is wearing thin in death because she can see what you refuse to see. She can see the timeline splitting. She can see the version of you that continues on this path of self-erasure, and she can see the version that stops, turns, and chooses differently. And she is weeping because the distance between those two versions is measured only by your willingness to hear what she is about to say. She says your name, not the name on your birth certificate, the name she called you when you were small and the world had not yet taught you to armor your softness. The name that lives in the marrow of who you were before you decided that love had to be earned through perfection. She says it with such tenderness that you feel it physically, a vibration in your sternum, a warmth spreading through ribs you have been holding too tightly. And then she speaks, not in words that your ears can grab, but in impressions that flood your system like old wine. She is showing you the lineage of your father's side, the men who came before you, the fathers and grandfathers and uncles who built their lives on the unspoken creed that a man is only as good as his last productive hour, that rest is laziness, that feelings are obstacles to be cleared like brush from a path. She is showing you that you inherited their blueprint, not their gender perhaps, but their architecture, the same load-bearing walls, the same foundation poured in concrete mixed with duty and silence. And she is showing you that this blueprint is killing you. Not metaphorically, not eventually, now, today. In the way your jaw clicks from clenching, in the way your stomach knots before you have even opened your eyes in the morning, in the way you have not taken a full, unguarded breath in so long that your body has forgotten what oxygen tastes like when it is not rationed. She is begging you to understand that she did not spend her life cooking meals that went unthanked, mending clothes that were never noticed, holding the emotional center of a family that treated her capacity as infinite, just so that you could grow up and replicate her invisibility in a modern costume. She is furious, not at you, at the pattern, at the lineage that demanded her martyrdom and now demands yours. She is weeping because she sees you canceling your own needs with the same automatic gesture she used to wave away her own hunger, her own fatigue, her own dreams that were filed under later until later became never. She sees you saying yes when you mean no. She sees you apologizing for taking up space. She sees you polishing your performance until it blinds everyone to the fact that you are crumbling behind the curtain. And she is begging you, with the full force of every tear she ever swallowed in her marriage to your father's line, to break the pattern here, to let it end with you, to be the one who finally says, no more. She wants you to remember the specific moment. You were small, maybe 7, maybe 9. You brought her a drawing, something you had worked on for an entire afternoon, your tongue between your teeth in concentration, your Virgo precision already evident in the careful lines, the exact shading. You were so proud. And she praised you, but she praised the effort, not the perfection. She said, my heart, it is beautiful because you made it, not because it is straight. And you did not understand. You only heard the second half. You only heard the possibility that it was not straight, that it was not perfect, that it was not enough. And you decided in that small, devastating moment that you would work harder, that you would be so good, so useful, so above reproach that no one would ever have occasion to offer you conditional praise again. She saw it happen. She saw the light in you dim and reorganize itself into something more efficient but less alive, and she has been trying to undo that moment ever since. In every meal she fed you. In every night she sat by your bed until you slept. In every prayer she whispered over your head when she thought you were not listening. She has been trying to reach back through time and grab that child by the shoulders and say, stop, you were already enough, you were always enough. And now she is saying it from the other side, where time folds like linen, where the past and the present breathe the same air. She is saying it with the urgency of someone who can see the bill coming due, because you are running on fumes, Virgo. You are managing your life with the desperate competence of a person steering a ship that is taking on water while insisting to the passengers that the deck chairs are perfectly aligned. You have not rested in years. Real rest. The kind that does not come with a side of guilt. The kind that does not require you to earn it first by completing an impossible list of self-imposed prerequisites. You have been treating your body like a machine that requires only maintenance and not worship. You have been treating your heart like a filing cabinet for other people's emergencies. And she is begging you to see that this is not virtue. This is not the noble path. This is the same slow suicide your father's father committed, the same erasure your father's brothers performed, the same disappearance your own father enacted in front of you, day after day, until you mistook absence for strength. She is showing you his face now, your father. Not the version you have carefully curated in your memory, not the hero or the villain you have cast him as, depending on the season of your healing. She is showing you the boy inside the man, the child who was told to stop crying, to stop needing, to stop being a burden. She is showing you that he could not give you what he did not have. And she is showing you that you have been trying to earn his love or forgive his failures or surpass his example by becoming the exact thing that destroyed him. A human being who believes their only value is in what they produce. She is weeping because she sees you inheriting his prison. She sees you polishing the bars. She sees you calling the cage a career, a relationship, a standard, a brand, and she is begging you to drop the keys, to walk out, to let the unfinished tasks remain unfinished, to let the imperfect life be imperfectly lived, to let someone else be the strong one for 5 minutes while you remember how to be held. She has messages about your body, specific ones. She is pointing to your lower back, the place where you carry the weight of everyone who has ever leaned on you without asking if you were steady. She is pointing to your throat, the place where your truth lives under lock and key because you were taught that honesty is only acceptable when it is palatable. She is pointing to your hands, which have been busy building everyone else's dreams, while your own sit in a drawer growing yellow at the edges. She wants you to touch these places, not with the clinical detachment of a person assessing damage, with the tenderness she would have used, with the same hands that kneaded bread at 4 a.m. so that you would have something warm to carry to school. She wants you to understand that your body is not a project to be managed. It is a temple she helped build with her own lineage, her own sacrifices, her own refusal to let the light go out in your family line. And you are treating it like rental property. She is showing you a memory you have suppressed. It is not traumatic in the way the world defines trauma. It is quiet. It is the afternoon she found you in the garden or the garage or the corner of the living room where the light fell just right and you were doing something that served no purpose. Drawing in the dirt, talking to a bug, arranging leaves by size for no reason other than the satisfaction of order. And she watched you, and she did not interrupt. And in her eyes was a recognition so profound it should have changed your life, but you were too young to read it. She was seeing herself, the self she had to bury to become wife, mother, grandmother, the invisible spine of a family that never asked if she was tired. She was seeing the last ember of something free, something wild, something that did not require justification, and she was praying in that moment that you would keep it alive, that you would not let them take it from you the way they took it from her, that you would be the one who escaped. And you did not escape, my love. You negotiated a more comfortable captivity. You became so good at serving the system that the system promoted you to middle management and called it success. And she is weeping because she knows what that costs. She paid it. She knows the exact weight of that coin. She wants to talk about your relationships, not with the gentle diplomacy of a living elder trying to preserve family peace, with the blunt honesty of the dead who have no use for pretense. She is showing you the person you are currently trying to love, or the person you are currently trying to convince yourself you do not need, or the pattern you keep repeating where you choose partners who are projects rather than companions. She is begging you to see that your capacity for service has become a trap. You do not love people, you rescue them. You do not receive love, you earn it by being indispensable. And when they fail to notice the 1,000 small ways you keep their world spinning, you do not ask for recognition. You work harder. You become more invisible. You tighten your grip on the reins until your hands bleed, and then you apologize for the blood on the upholstery. She is showing you her own marriage. The way she served your grandfather until he forgot she was a person and not an appliance. The way she smiled when he praised her cooking but never asked about her thoughts. The way she died in increments, becoming smaller and quieter and more efficient, until one day she was just the space between the furniture, the silence between sentences. She is begging you not to make her legacy your blueprint. She is begging you to want more, to demand more, to be so full of your own worth that you attract someone who meets you there instead of someone who needs you to build a platform for them to stand on. She has a warning about your work. She is not impressed by your title. She is not impressed by your hours. She is not impressed by the praise you collect like stamps in a book you never open. She sees the cost. She sees the way your creativity has been sectioned off into 15-minute increments between obligations. She sees the way your original dreams have been replaced by photocopies of someone else's ambition. She sees you saying yes to projects that drain you because no is a word you have not been authorized to use. And she is begging you to hear this. The world will take everything you give it and ask for more. It will never tap you on the shoulder and say, that is enough, rest now. That is your job. That is the boundary you must build with your own 2 hands, brick by brick, until it is high enough that you can finally hear your own thoughts without the interference of everyone else's demands. She is showing you her hands, the arthritis, the swollen knuckles, the hands that never stopped moving because stopping meant acknowledging that she had become a function rather than a person. She is begging you to rest your hands, to let them be still, to let them be held, to let them create something that no one asked for, something that serves only your joy, something imperfect and messy and entirely yours. She wants to tell you about the money. This is where her tears become a flood. She is showing you the way your father's family handled scarcity, the way they hoarded or squandered or worshipped currency as a substitute for emotional safety. She is showing you the way you have inherited their anxiety, their either-or thinking, their belief that abundance is a test you must pass by working yourself to the bone. She is begging you to understand that money is not a scorecard. It is not a report card on your worth. And the universe is not waiting for you to suffer sufficiently before it delivers provision. She is showing you that your current relationship with abundance is a direct descendant of her own fear, the fear that kept her darning socks that should have been thrown away, that kept her accepting less than she deserved, because something was always better than nothing, that kept her silent when she should have spoken, because silence was cheaper than conflict. She is begging you to break the spell, to charge what you are worth, to receive without guilt, to believe that rest is not a luxury you must pay for in advance, but a birthright she is trying to pass to you across the threshold of death like a torch that must not go out. She is telling you about the children, whether you have them or not, whether you want them or not. She is talking about the future generations that are watching you, the ones not yet born, the ones who will inherit not just your eye color and your tendency toward anxiety, but your relationship with your own soul. She is begging you to model something different, to be the ancestor who stopped running, to be the one who looked at the inheritance of self-destruction and said, not me, not my line, not my legacy. She is showing you a vision of a child, maybe yours, maybe not, standing in a garden that you planted, holding something you made with your own unhurried hands, looking up with eyes that have never learned to associate love with performance. That child is possible, but only if you become the person who can teach them. Only if you do the work now, in this lifetime, in this body, in this moment of exhaustion, that you keep pushing through like a soldier who does not know the war is over. She has a specific message about forgiveness, not the cheap kind, not the performative kind where you say the words and nothing shifts inside you. She is talking about the deep, cellular forgiveness of your father, not because he deserves it, not because he has asked for it, but because you are still carrying his unlived life inside your own, and it is too heavy. You are still trying to be the son he never had, or the daughter he could not see, or the success that would finally validate his own failures. She is begging you to put that burden down, to tell him in the privacy of your own heart that you are done managing his emotions, done translating his silence into something you can work with, done performing your life so that he does not have to feel the discomfort of his own regrets. She is showing you that his inability to love you the way you needed was not a reflection of your value. It was a reflection of his own arrested development. And you have been trying to parent your own parent for so long that you have forgotten what it feels like to be simply, uncomplicatedly, someone's child. She wants to be that for you now. In her death, she wants to adopt you again. She wants to hold the space that he could not hold. She wants to be the grandmother who sees you, not your potential, not your productivity, just you, messy and tired and glorious and enough. She is showing you a kitchen table. It is covered in flour. There is dough rising in a bowl. The window is open, and the air smells of rain and something blooming that you cannot name. She is sitting across from you, younger than you remember, her hair still dark, her hands still strong, and she is pushing a plate toward you. On it is something she made, not because you earned it, not because you were good, just because you are hers, just because you exist. And she is looking at you with eyes that contain the entire history of your family, the wars and the migrations and the losses and the stubborn, beautiful refusal to let the light go out. And she is saying, eat, rest. You are home. You have always been home. The only exile you have ever suffered was self-imposed, and the door has never been locked. She wants you to cry. Not the tidy tears you shed in the shower where no one can hear you. Not the controlled release you allow yourself for exactly 11 minutes before you pull yourself together and check your email. She wants the ugly cry, the kind that comes from the pit of your stomach, the kind that sounds like an animal in pain, the kind that leaves you swollen and empty and finally clean. Because she knows that you have been storing grief like a hoarder stores newspapers, and the pile is blocking the windows. You cannot see the light anymore. You cannot feel the air. And the only way out is through the wailing, through the surrender, through the admission that you are not okay, that you have not been okay for a very long time, and that your relentless competence has been the most sophisticated denial mechanism she has ever witnessed. She is begging you to let it fall apart. The image, the brand, the carefully curated narrative of a person who has it all together, let it fall, let it shatter, let the mess be seen. Because the people who truly love you are not waiting for you to be perfect. They are waiting for you to be real. And the ones who leave when you become real were never holding you in the first place. They were holding their own projection. And their departure is not a loss. It is a correction. She has one more thing to say. And it is the hardest thing. The thing she has been building toward with every tear and every gesture and every spectral appearance in the corner of your vision when you are too tired to keep your guard up. She is telling you that you are allowed to be happy, not someday, not when the work is done, not when you have finally achieved the impossible standard that keeps moving every time you get close. Now, today, in this imperfect body, in this chaotic life, with this incomplete to-do list, you are allowed to laugh until your stomach hurts. You are allowed to say no to the thing that drains you and yes to the thing that makes you feel like a child again, wild and unscripted and free. You are allowed to want things that serve no practical purpose. You are allowed to be bad at something and enjoy it anyway. You are allowed to take up space without apologizing for the room you occupy. You are allowed to be loved without having to maintain the machinery of that love with constant maintenance and upgrades. You are allowed to simply be. And every time you deny yourself this permission, you are not being humble or disciplined or responsible. You are being cruel. Cruel to the child she held. Cruel to the woman or man you are becoming. Cruel to the memory of every sacrifice she made so that you would have the option to choose ease. She is fading now. Not because she is leaving. She will never leave. She is woven into your DNA, humming in your mitochondria, singing in the spaces between your ribs. She is fading because the transmission is complete. The message has been delivered. The rest is up to you. She has done what grandmothers do. She has stayed up all night watching over you while you slept. She has whispered the truth into the dark, hoping you would hear it in your dreams. She has cried the tears you would not let yourself cry, carrying your grief in advance like a vessel, hoping you would eventually fill it and then set it down. And now she is stepping back, giving you the dignity of your own choice. She will not force you. She will not haunt you with demands. She will simply wait in the kitchen that exists now only in memory and spirit, with the dough still rising and the window still open, until you are ready to sit down and receive what she has always been trying to give you, the absolute, unshakable, unearned certainty that you are loved, that you are enough, that the blood in your veins carries not just the weight of your father's line, but the light of her survival, her endurance, her refusal to let the darkness win. The chair is still there, the plate is still warm, the door is open, and somewhere in the part of you that remembers being small and safe and seen, you know exactly how to get there. You do not need directions. You do not need a map. You need only to stop moving long enough to remember that you already know the way home. Rise now, not to work, not to strive. Rise to meet her halfway. Rise to claim the inheritance she is begging you to accept. The right to be imperfect, the right to be rested, the right to be loved exactly as you are, without a single edit, without a single improvement, without a single apology for the magnificent, messy, miraculous fact of your existence. She is waiting. She has always been waiting. And the tears she weeps now are no longer tears of sorrow. They are tears of hope. Because she sees you, Virgo. She sees you finally beginning to listen. And in that listening, the whole story changes. The whole lineage shifts. The whole future brightens. Because you were the one she was waiting for. You were the one she believed in. And she was never, not for a single second, wrong about you.